It's never been a more important time to have an incredible story about your product, but doing that can be really hard. Well, we're going to give you 3 AI tools that can transform your product positioning, your product story overnight, and better yet, they are going to save you countless hours every week, every month to transform your product story and to go from average to world-class in a very short amount of time. On this episode, we have Rachel Leist, the product marketing leader for HubSpot, and she is going to show you how their product marketing team is actually using AI day in, day out to transform how we go to market, how we tell the story about HubSpot, and a lot of other things that you are going to want to stay tuned for. All of that and more on this episode of Marketing Against the Grain. All right, on this episode, we're going to talk about something we have not covered as much, and that is product marketing. But because it's the Marketing Against the Grain show, we have to do it from an AI perspective. We have Rachel Leist, who is the fearless product marketing leader at HubSpot. Everything good that comes out of HubSpot in relation to product marketing is her and her team. Welcome, Rachel, to the show.
Thank you. What an introduction. So happy to be here.
Okay, so you're not just a great product marketing team, you're also a team that has adopted AI across all of the things you do. And so we're going to be able to show people some practical use cases of how you use AI for product marketing. But first, because Kipp and I have not covered product marketing a whole lot on the podcast in the last couple of months, why don't you give people a refresher on product marketing and why it's important?
Absolutely. So product marketing is really at the simplest level, telling people what your product does, why it's important, how it will help the customer, and also doing that consistently across channels. So it's so important to make sure that whenever a customer is interacting with your company, they are saying the same message and the same value props. And I think in the age of AI, this is becoming more and more important as there's more content out there, more channels that people are using.
If you really want to understand how to do AI in product positioning, AI for competitor intelligence, AI to do real actual use cases, you want to stay tuned to this episode because we are going to, as always, live screen share and give you practical AI use cases, ones that Rachel and her team have built from scratch and use every single day. So Rachel, why don't you tell us about some of the must-have AI use cases for product marketing?
There's a couple of things that we have really thought about when using AI. So first, all the customer context you have, interviews, research, decks, and transcripts of with your customers, anything you can get your hands on that helps you understand the customer. Then there's product contests. You have one-pagers, you have, again, decks, there's positioning docs, there's research. And then, of course, you want to pull in some internal context, like think about LinkedIn posts that have done really well, or how you just tone of voice, and then market context. So there's all these materials that really you can use to make your product marketing even stronger. And we have a couple examples, as you mentioned, that to go through where we show how you use that to create your positioning docs and your sales decks, your one-pagers, your talk tracks. It's really incredible what we've been able to do.
One of the cool features of OpenAI or even Claude is their ability to basically ingest internal data and then pair that with external data. So like one of the things you can do to right off the bat, if you're listening to the show and you have not done a lot of product marketing or you're just not really sure how to even get started, you can literally just ask Claude to build you a ideal customer profile. And you can just say like, use all of the documents in my G Drive that are related, look at my emails, and then you can say pair that with external data. That's like really powerful. I was doing that over the weekend, and it will actually build you some pretty great ICPs, which are, for our audience, ideal customer profiles.
And Kieran, we did this in the HubSpot and OpenAI show,
right?
Because we have the deep research connector with HubSpot and ChatGPT. If you're a HubSpot user, you can literally just ask ChatGPT what it thinks your ICP is and break it all down based on your existing data too, right? So you can do that. And then once you have a rough ICP, you can ask the LLMs to go and embellish it with more information. And let's say you're just getting started, you don't have a team of people doing product marketing, just record some of your customer calls, put that with the data you have, and you will have a pretty robust like ideal customer profile and persona pretty quickly, right? That'll be way better than what most people have.
Yeah, I think one of the things I do on a daily basis is I take some content that myself or my team has written, I plug it into one of our Claude projects or custom GPTs and say, with that have again those customer transcripts and interviews, and say, does this resonate with the customer? What would you specifically change? What would you keep? And so that not only improves the content, but it also teaches me the simple things that I need to be including when speaking to the customer.
Right. The ability for AI to mimic people, if it's given enough information, is pretty powerful, because you can actually start to have real conversations with your customers, which for an introvert like me who likes talking to customers, I can now just train an AI model to act like a customer, like a voice model, speak with it for a long time and never have to actually talk to a human, which is like really exciting.
It's actually funny. One of our first iterations of one of our personas was training AI and then asking it questions like, where do you like to eat? Where do you want to shop? Just to get to know the persona more. So definitely with you on that one.
There was this weird app that Kipp and I, wasn't weird, but like there was this pretty fast growth AI company. I think, was it Meta bought it, Kipp, Character.ai?
Google bought it.
Google bought it. And so they had this, like, you were able to go and create fictional characters, or you could go create characters in comic books or whatever. And it was actually really popular with kids. They would go speak to their favorite comic book heroes or people in shows, and they can have a conversation with them. There should be something like that for people, just like aggregating everyone who has different pain points, and you have entrepreneurs can go there and speak to different people with different pain points and figure out what products they actually want to build for them. But that's a lovable / replit idea, because then you could actually pair that with your new and growing vibe coding entrepreneurs.
Hey everyone, look, if you're enjoying this episode with Rachel, you're going to love this. We have just dropped the AI Interview Arsenal. You're going to get an interactive demo where you can actually experience what it's like to be interviewed by AI. You can go through it yourself right now and see how surprisingly smooth it is. Plus, Rachel is throwing in her go-to AI prompts that will help you automate the entire customer interview process. No more scheduling nightmares, no more transcription headaches. This will give you the real insights from real customers fast. You're going to want to get this right now. Scan the QR code or click the link in the description below. Now let's get back to today's show.
Why don't you tell us, like, why don't you show us maybe one of the use cases your team uses day in, day out for AI and product marketing?
Definitely. I'll start with the one that was really the biggest unlock for me with AI in general. Like, I think everyone has their moment where things click and all of a sudden it works. And this was mine. So this first one is a Claude project. So on the product marketing team, we have Claude projects for all of our products, for all of our customer proof, our competitive intelligence. And this is our Growth Gabby project, which is essentially our customer persona. And so in here, we have details that, again, this is what Kieran was talking about a second ago. You're an AI with extensive data about Growth Gabby in your database, like pull in from customer call transcripts, the profile, all this research that we have, everything. And then we have some details on what your role is, again, how to create that vision doc. So I'm going to use an example of positioning that we had from 2020. So I am going to use our Operations Hub positioning from 2020 and ask it to essentially update that based on the research that is in this project. So I want to update this positioning doc from 2020. Since then, we have updated our personas. Can you take a first pass at updating the positioning using the following framework? And the framework I want to use is what's actually in the project details here. So sometimes it actually just does this automatically, but just in case, I'm going to outline this. And this is really how we organize our positioning. So as soon as I run that, it's going to start looking through all the project details and pull up just a new version of positioning. And while it does that, the other thing to mention that I love doing with this project, and again, our other product projects, is using current positioning that we're working on and saying, hey, tell me exactly what resonates with this persona, what doesn't resonate, and provide me very specifics on what to change. And we've actually saved a ton of rounds of feedback and reviews because of this. And Kipp can talk to that as well because he helped us with this.
Well, first of all, I love that we built this. I use it all the time. Like I was just using it last week, Rachel, and I was like, it just gives me such good feedback, right? Because there's a level of depth to it because it has all that context about here is the type of person we're talking to. Here's what they care about. It has all those conversations that it can go and reference. And what's pretty amazing is it tells you exactly what to make better. And the magic in something like product marketing versus maybe other parts of marketing, it's an iteration game. Can you keep refining it and making it more interesting, clearer, simpler? Because you start off and anytime you're talking about your product initially, it's like it's a little foggy and you don't know what to focus on. And going through this like changes that dramatically and changes it like in minutes instead of like hours or days, right?
Could you give the listeners an idea of what content you've put into the Claude project
Definitely.
to make it like so accurate in terms of its feedback?
Yeah, so we have a ton of market research. That is first foremost. Then we have customer interviews, and we make sure they're representative of different company sizes, different regions, just different perspectives. And then we also include one-pagers or sales decks, just like anything that has been an output. One of the things that is the most important that I will stress is we do make a habit of every quarter we update what's in the project because things are changing rapidly, especially right now. And we want to make sure that as customer expectations are evolving, as we get new research in, we have the latest in there.
That was going to be one of my questions, as in like, if you were creating a Claude project, you have to continue to make sure is it like swap out data to keep the freshest data in there?
Yeah, it's usually swapping out data. I would say on the customers, it's adding to it. But it is so important. And we do that across, again, all the Claude projects we have as well. But I think this has been an unlock for not just me, as I was saying earlier, using AI, but a lot of people on the team, because if you're writing an email or you're creating a landing page, running it through this to really understand if it resonates, it'll, again, give you these specific feedback and add in some data and quotes, and it's really phenomenal.
And you can do this in a ChatGPT custom GPT or in a Claude project, Rachel. I think you've done both. Is that right? And like, what do you like better? Like, give people a little tool and technology recap if they were doing this.
Okay, so I tend to run the same prompt through both to see what responses I get, which I think are better. But one of the things, I was more dependent on Claude when I could not choose the model in custom GPTs.
Yes.
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 But now that I can use O3, that I don't know, I've started using ChatGPT more, but most of our projects actually live in Claude. I like have this internal battle over it.
I just want to make sure we emphasize that for the listeners, that feature, because I've been waiting for that feature forever. If you were in projects or you were in custom GPT in OpenAI, you couldn't specify the model to use for that product or custom GPT. And they seem to have updated that like 2 weeks ago, which was really awesome because it makes all of those things much, much usable. And I agree. I think that for even me, everything has gravitated across the OpenAI because of that.
I feel like I'm cheating on Claude, and I feel guilty saying this, but I do feel like I've been using ChatGPT more now because of O3. Most of our projects do still live in Claude, but one of the things that I would recommend to everyone is, different people in your company have access to different things. So we have also organized all the docs in our Google Docs and organized folders so that in the future we will have the flexibility to do it in Claude and ChatGPT and Gemini, wherever it is. And huge shout out to Jess Davis and Tim on my team who did all that work.
Well, one of the things that might get you back to Claude, and we're going to cover that on an episode over the next week or two, is Claude released a new feature that allow you to build hostable apps. And so you can build an app and then you can integrate your Claude API. So theoretically, actually, you could have a internal tool that does all that position, and they can just upload a document. It will actually give them a PDF in return. And so the ability to turn all of these projects and things into lightweight internal apps is actually going to be really interesting. I think we're going to build a couple of those for our listeners.
Yeah. It's one of the reasons I like having it in both places, because every week one might be better than the other. Right. And I just like to be able to compare it.
GPT-5 will come in July and just do all of this. You just say, go do it, and just do it all. So we'll gravitate between both.
What I will just say for everybody watching, Rachel, that I think you're kind of getting at is that The models in ChatGPT seem a little better, especially at 3 right now. The user experience of managing the content, the project, and maybe getting custom app output is way better in Claude, right? So you almost need to do a little bit of both of them if you want the absolute best outcome, if it's like a really important project.
Okay, so you have a product positioning done. I want to like give you a quick demo a little bit later in this episode of a fun thing I did around product positioning. But why don't you take us through another use case?
Yeah. So one of the most exciting use cases we have worked on is around competitive intelligence. So we have been, using other software throughout the years to host all of our competitive intelligence, all of our battle cards, and now it's all in Notebook LM. And I'm going to demo in a second, but I will say usage has spiked. People just like love interacting with it more. Our sales reps love it in this. So Ben Conti put this together. So I'm going to show this.
And this is awesome.
I know our reps are using it on calls to basically ask, well, this objection just came up. What do I say? And it immediately comes back with the answer. If I have a couple of sample prompts with like, give me one punchy success story I can quote, provide the sentence, then the stat.
So just to explain this to the listeners, you basically, one of the things product marketing do is they create these kind of competitive guides. And so anytime a competitor comes up on a sales call or as part of the buying process, you are able to kind of give all of the talking points around that. And what you've done here in Notebook LM is you've built or in individual notebooks per competitor.
Yeah. So for example, I can say I'm going up against competitor X, pull in the top 3 reasons that HubSpot would win in these scenarios. Or someone saying like HubSpot doesn't grow with, let's actually do that one. I'm on a call with a prospect who is concerned that they won't grow with HubSpot. What should I say? And that's going to come back with what to respond with. It's going to come back with sources that it pulls from. And so then you can ask follow-up questions as well. So here's not only like some key talking points, here's some stats, here's the customer proof here. There's just a ton of things here. And so I love this at the end as well, that has, again, like what to really emphasize. There's just so much information in here.
What kind of information have you added into each of these battle cards? Like what if I was a person watching this and I wanted to start to create some of these competitive battle cards? What is the data I want to add into my Notebook LM to get this?
Yeah, I would say top talking points, the feature comparisons between like yourself and your competitors, any type of customer proof, anything around what has happened when you've switched from a competitor to your own solution. I think what else?
But where does that information come from?
Just all of our research. So market research,
yeah.
customer research, like anything you can have in there, and then we organize ours by competitor.
You can have an audio overview and you can create podcasts about all your competitors.
Yeah. So one of the things that we do whenever there's like a big announcement from a competitor is we essentially create a podcast. We've called it internally hot takes before, and where the different competitive analysts talk through it. But again, you can create that podcast to just listen to a lot of information in a much easier way. And again, we've seen usage with our sales team skyrocket using this because it's just so much more accessible and easy to quickly get your answers.
It's kind of wild that this is being built through Notebook LM. It's probably replacing SaaS apps, and the sales team are all using it.
Yeah, this is probably my my favorite example because it's so accessible, it's so easy to use, and of course, as you mentioned, the podcast functionality.
Well, especially if you are a Google Workspace customer and like all of your company is using Google tools already for work, this is just like a very natural extension of that. And like, Kieran, I think you're right. There are people who were paying 30, 40, 50, 60 grand a year for this type of functionality that was worse, like a year or two ago, that is now just kind of like free and baked in to Notebook LM. It's wild.
I would say even way more than that. Like this is such a great free solution. Again, if you are using Google anyway, and I think it's more powerful.
I agree with that.
You could also do a version of this, which is there's like seven or more different buyers in any B2B buyer committee, like above a certain average sale price. And so you could imagine that if you're a company watching this, like one of the things you could do is have a version of this, but it's all for the different buyers, like the selling points for those. Make sure the sales team have all of that collateral, the kind of pain points they have, the solutions they have. It's a great way to actually build enablement for sales because they have the ability to chat with the data. They have the ability to like have an audio overview. They have the ability to turn it into a podcast and ask a podcast question. It just like works for however you want to retrieve that information.
Well, one of the hardest things for sales is that they have so much information to use. They're just inundated. They don't know where to go. They don't have to worry about this here. They just can quickly get the answers. It's amazing.
Well, and it's very personalized was the point I was going to make. One of the things that if you're a regular watcher of the show that we're hitting at is like AI is making kind of this one-to-one bespoke personalized experience finally real. And that's both external to customers and prospects, but it's also internal. Like to your point, Rachel, before a sales rep would have had to look through a bunch of kind of generic content and then like figure out how to shoehorn it for a given prospect, where like they can just go to that notebook, say, here's the customer, here's their problem, find me somebody or tell me exactly what I should tell them, whatever it may be. And the AI is going to give them a pretty good answer.
Totally. And they can even use the responses that we saw there, throw it into GenSpark and get some awesome slides to show a prospect.
Totally.
Like there's just so many cool things to do.
That's a good one, actually. Yeah, you could just take all of that, put it into GenSpark and start to create presentations. Go look at the episode. Kipp and I have both done that, showed you how to do that in GenSpark. Okay, so you're doing your positioning and you have all of your team making sure they kind of put the positioning through the Claude project that is a representation of your customer, it has all the data, so it's able to say, like, this is the way you speak to the customer, turn the email into that, turn the product page into that, make sure everything is uniform, which is actually really good because in a lot of companies, everything gets like different flavors of how people think who your customer is, and so it all kind of sounds different. Your website sounds different, your email sounds different. Then you have all these battle cards in Notebook LM that your sales team can use and make sure that they're speaking about competitors in the right way, and we know how to win against competitors. What is another use case that you're using AI for?
This is a new one we've been using, but this is one where we're essentially doing customer interviews at scale using AI.
Oh, this is a cool. Actually, I'm about to use this tool.
Yeah.
This one is, we saved the best for last.
I did. I think this tool is so cool. So this is a company called Outset, and essentially they will, well, I'm going to show you how to create a study and some of the cool things that this can do. But it's a great episode. You see, I was practicing here. Okay. So you can basically do video interviews using AI. I'm just gonna start from scratch and get into the good stuff. Okay, so in here, you can essentially, on your left-hand side, add different questions. So you can add conversational, multiple choice, but I'm gonna use an example. I'm gonna use an example about what are your current, no, this one's not gonna be for software, but wellness goals you're aiming to achieve. Please describe.
And Kipp and Kieran can solve them with AI.
Yeah.
Wellness, and that's what we're here for, wellness and nutrition.
Listen, you're going to get some cool information here, but then you can choose your question type again, and then there's different probing. So you can say, oh, like only probe a couple times, or you can say like probe a ton of times if you're not getting the right answer. I know.
Are these real people you're going to put into the abyss mode? I don't want to put in, I hope someone never tries to put me into the abyss mode.
But Rachel, is this people or is this a synthetic twin of people? That's what I want everybody to try to understand.
Right now, this is AI asking you questions, but and like you're being given a video interview, but it's more like an audio interview that you're being asked.
But a real person's being asked.
A real person.
Yeah, a real person's being asked. So like I, as like the market researcher, can interview hundreds of customers, hundreds of real customers without doing it myself. And so
that's a game changer for any kind of growing company, right? You can get
there is a
very
version
specific
of that.
feedback.
Yeah.
There's a version of that I think most people would say it would be a horrible version. And I do agree, but there is a version of that. There are companies that are able to build synthetic versions of your customer, and they're used within sales actually. So sales sell to that synthetic version of your customer, and it teaches new reps how to sell to your customer, and you can program the customer to have different pushback. I don't have the budget, I don't have the time, whatever it may be. And When the sales rep tries to figure out how to navigate around that, it records that and helps the sales rep. You can coach the sales rep how to do better. This, you could actually build synthetic versions of your customer, different versions of your customer, and then have AI interview the AI representation of your customer,
Correct.
which is
That's
like a horrible
what I think
future to
will
think
happen.
about. Which I think I think that's where you were going. I think that will happen, and I think that is the abyss.
Yeah. Well,
Well, no, but in all seriousness, imagine, and this is important for everybody to understand. We could do this right now, right? Like we could go and Rachel could do like some very detailed, broad and yet broad questions with 50, 100 customers using this tool, right? And then we could go into ChatGPT and build digital twin versions based on all of that real life interview feedback for them, and then do follow-up questions that were just AI to AI.
Exactly. This is like the perfect, it's like I'm in my own simulation, really, because this is like the perfect moment for me to start building products. I was a software engineer way back in college and tried to be a software engineer for a number of years. And now we've come full circle to I can build product with AI, so I don't need to talk to humans. I can build fictional AI representations of my customers and then have AI interview AI, so I don't have to talk to anyone there either. So it's like the world is engineering humans out of the loop for me, so I can just do all of these things without ever having to talk to someone. It's just incredible.
I'm gonna show you like an example of what this will actually look like for the customer. But one thing I'm probing, you can say exactly like make sure to ask about exercise goals, eating habits, and so it knows what to probe on, which is very cool. And one more thing I do have to show you is this language setting. Like, look at all the languages you can do this in, which is unbelievable if
Wild.
like you're like me who can only speak English but want to get like that global sample.
Is it
So
just
you can do
you
as
want to do a
many.
test interview? Okay.
Yeah, you can do as many questions as you want, but I'm just gonna do this one. Okay, question. Okay, testing. You're gonna get to hear about my exercise habits.
I love this.
Is it going to ask you? Okay.
Or wellness goals you're aiming to achieve. Please describe what they are.
I am looking to get more exercise, do more workouts, and eat better.
That sounds like a great plan.
You see, this is where the probing is coming in.
Yes.
Okay. So it's going to open okay.
I'm hoping to work out 3 times a week, and the rest of the time, I'm going to chase my kids.
I love that balance of
Is it
planned
gonna put you-
workouts.
It's going to tell you that they've used a clever hack here. They have a very well spoken English person conduct the interview. There you go.
Yeah, except
That's
that
how
you're
you
using
know
a better
answers.
11 Labs model than that. The voice quality isn't as good as I would have thought it would be.
But one of the cool things about this too, so keep in mind, I have 2 market researchers on my team. We have a ton of products, a ton of needs, and they're able to just do so many more customer interviews. And then it also will run the analysis for you. So this is something cool where if you have different questions, you can then click in and get a bunch of your like customer samples. And these are like some of the best quotes that your customer said during the interviews. They also
I
kind of
love that.
have this highlight reel at the end where they compile everything. So not only is it doing the interviews, but it's doing your analysis at the end as well. It's just super cool, and it's really helped us on the team.
Have you found the engagement to be good? Like people are pretty happy talking to an AI assistant?
Yeah, I think like that's why I wanted to show how it was like it's not this like it's not a person that you know is AI or isn't. Like it's very clear that AI interviewer, so people are really engaging with it, and we're getting great data at it and at scale. So it's been really, really great for the team.
How much more efficient is it, Rachel? Like, because a lot of people watching this probably do an occasional survey, but maybe they don't do really in-depth interviews like this. And they're really historically very manual and time consuming. Like, so how much faster is it?
Yeah. Here's the thing. I think this is becoming more and more important because as we talked about with the Claude projects and the custom GBTs, you need more customer interviews and transcripts. And if you can't take the time to do like it might take let's say like one full day, you might be able to, if you're lucky, do 10 interviews. And I say if you're lucky because you have to deal with schedules and people not responding by email and not wanting to take all the time. But this is able to do like hundreds in that period of time. So I think it's saving a tremendous amount of time.
I think the ability just to get data and use that data, AI just speeds that up so much. I wanted to close out with one little fun thing to show you to see if you think it's cool or not.
It's not a show unless Kieran's showing something he built.
It follows the same a theme that Kipp and I have going on this show, which is we kind of believe marketing is going to be much more tailored, much more personalized. I did a show last week that was called, it was all around how to build these kind of micro audiences. So, the theory there is we build product marketing for an ideal customer profile. That ideal customer profile has to be pretty broad, because if it was like really, really small, we couldn't afford to hire that many marketers to market to these small audiences. But with AI, you can do that. And so one of the interesting things to kind of think about is, does product marketing actually become one of the teams that help you appear in LLMs? Because what LLMs are really doing is looking to see all of the different ways people talk about your product, right? Lots of niche ways. And then if you have content for that, you're more likely to appear in the LLM. And so let me just give you a little like side-by-side competition I did here between O3 and Perplexity, because Perplexity is my new like fun toy at the moment. And see which one you both like best. And so what I basically did, so what would be a micro audience for product marketing? Well, in this case, it's like, how would you divide up that ideal customer profile that you've been shown how you market to, like that Claude project? In this way, we were doing it based upon people who had left reviews on G2 or reviews on any review site. So we went out and we looked to say, we took a competitor and we said, look at the reviews that are 3 stars or less across these platforms. And then based upon the feedback that they give, we're going to divide those up into a little audience. And then we're going to create product positioning for that audience based upon the problems they have and how HubSpot solve them. So this is a little example that it's like going across, it's finding the different reviewer roles. It's talking about the pain points they have with this specific competitor that we have. And you can see here, it says like, everything takes, and then in caps letters, 10 times longer to complete anything. People really have issues here because they caps things. Just doesn't save what you're working on, meaning you have to redo things all the time. Price increase, what is this? They charge 5x as much as the former basic plan, blah, 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 blah. No imitation, no emails about these. Okay, a lot of price stuff. And so it themes them, right? It creates these little audience. So it says, this is the one I went for, which is, okay, there's busy marketing professionals and small business owners who need efficient, reliable tools to execute campaigns quickly without constant troubleshooting. So this is like what I picked up on, and people leaving negative reviews about that platform. And then the job they have to be done, because to your point, product marketing is really, how do I market the benefits, not the features, the benefits of my product. I need marketing automation to just work smoothly so I can focus on strategy, not fighting with the software. So what we did here is we took this micro audience, we paired it with your ideal customer profile, and then we, based upon that, we created a prompt that had, how do you do great product positioning? It kind of goes and looks to see what are the best people in the world and what do they do really well, and then comes back and says, this is how you do it. And then we give that prompt to Lovable, and I want to show you the kind of 2 examples it did in Lovable so you can see if you think that this is pretty good or not. So this one was done by O3. So O3 took the ideal customer profile, it took the micro audience, and then it built this page. I think so again, remember that it's doing the micro audience. It's not just, it's a smaller version, a subset. So it's the one who really struggled with the fact that the tool was not making them more productive. So it has a pretty good header here. I thought launch multi-channel campaigns in minutes, not days, of duct taping. It's pretty good tools. Everything from first click to qualified leads live inside Marketing Hub. And then I love the fact that it starts making up numbers.
I love some good fake return on investment stats.
Grab the typical B2B image here. I look, why is my day hijacked by marketing tools? And then it will tell you why it's doing this, right? It surfaces the productivity killer pain verbatim to build awareness. So this is again coming back to the micro audience, talking about time drain, data silos, heavy enterprise suites. So you can see what it's done here, right? It's crafted all of the content for your ICP who has that specific cluster of problems. And this is just one shot, right? It created this page in one shot, like campaigns live before your next coffee, all of the stuff you can do to get migrated, all of the things, all of the fake data around how you actually increase leads, all of the stuff you can do around real-time data attribution, and so on and on and on and on. But I thought for the very first attempt, this was pretty good at bringing the product to life through a product page.
I think, Kieran, I think that's good. I think what you would have is you're going to want to dynamically spin this up for each individual company that has this problem.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
And that's the big thing that I want people to take
this
away.
would be for a product page targeting that competitor, and everyone who comes in through that competitor, which you can get through data, like you can actually, once you have their domain, you can actually figure out their tech stack. And so you would direct people dynamically change to this page, which is specific to that pain points that people have.
But what I'm saying is we'd even render it for that specific company's pain. So not just the competitor, but the company who's using that competitor and the problem they have, right? Like
okay,
that's where you're going to get real transformational.
So let me just make sure people know what you mean there.
And is it doing that?
The thing that's so cool to see about that is I feel like years ago we tried to do something, even with Kipp, to your point, with company names on such a smaller scale, but it was just impossible. And now you can do this, and it's even better than what we were doing manually. It's just so cool.
This is actually something I think we're going to, so you're right, Kipp. So basically you're saying take this first row, which is a company who left a review that is 1 or 2 stars. And they were like, everything's taking 10 times longer to complete anything.
Yes, we're going to parrot their words back to them.
It's that we build a page for these, not the aggregate, not even the cluster. Like that actually, and we actually have an agent that dynamically builds campaigns per. I think that's actually something we should do. I think we can do that.
This is what I thought we were doing. This is you and I are talking after this.
I was doing the
like that's what's going to be the whole thing. The whole thing is going to be understanding that pain that the company has, and then activating it on a personal web page, a personal ad, personal email, to the point where you're like, this is exactly how we can solve it for you and why it's so good for you. And that's how you're going to transform conversion rates in a world where website visitors are much harder to get.
I think about product marketing's role here is it's becoming more and more important because you have all these pages. You have to have that consistency of messaging and voice. And now product marketers for the first time have the ability to do that at scale, which they've never had before. Right. So it's just a cool evolution of the product marketing role.
You can just be way more tailored. So Perplexity, very, very similar, like pulled out it's all around productivity. Not a great, I think, above the fold experience here. What do you notice about Perplexity compared to the O3 one right off the bat? Pretty odd. So what don't you see here? And then what do you see lots of here? Something that the older models do. Emojis.
I was going to say, it's a lot of text different. And then, yes, the older models love emojis.
Love a good emoji. O3 moved past emojis. It's graduated. It's got a little bit older. It said, I've grown out of my emoji phase. I have to grow up. I'm not allowed to do that anymore. Perplexity's like, no, I'm still into this emoji phase. It's pretty good. Has hidden costs of broken automation that picked up on one of the reviews that talked about that. Said this automation doesn't work. Gives you some stats. Meets the platform that just works. So again, I just shows you how quickly you can go from your ICP and then some additional data to actually pretty good first shot of like product marketing collateral. So the main thing here is just the amount of tailoring and personalization you can do because of AI tools is just like different from anything you could have done in the past.
We're going to do a whole Taylor episode campaign coming up, Kieran, because you and I are cooking on a bunch of stuff here. But I think what is dramatic to me about the show today is that product marketing is, I think, more important than ever, first of all, especially because how AI is changing, especially the technology market. Product and feature commoditization is happening much faster. So the story you're telling and your ability to articulate the pain and value matters much more. So that's one thing that's happening. 2, there's great product market fit with these AI tools and product marketing. There's really cool use cases, Rachel, that you showed us that literally anyone can go out and do for like $0 to $20 a month, right? You're not talking like hundreds or thousands of dollars a month. And the third thing is, it's clearly going to get way more personal, and we'll continue to be talking about that on upcoming shows. Rachel, Kieran, what else do you want to add before we close out today's episode?
I think if you're a product marketer, you absolutely have to spend time using these tools. Find the time, block off your calendar, you get deep into them. It will make you so much better at your job and allow you to do so much more than you ever thought was possible. Try to find your unlock. I found my unlock, and then it led to all these other things. And it's just been, I just can't imagine my life without it.
Awesome. I think this is a great show. It's for any companies that even don't have product marketing teams, want to do better positioning, want to do better competitive insights, want a one-shot a page to be tailored to their audience. You have practical use cases. That is what we try to do in this show. And until next episode, we will see you all then.
See you, everybody.
This data is wrong every freaking time.
Have you heard of HubSpot? HubSpot is a CRM platform where everything is fully integrated.
Whoa, I can see the client's whole history, calls, support tickets, emails, and here's a task from 3 days ago I totally missed.
HubSpot. Grow better.